Hello, people of the internet. So today I'm doing something a little special, a little new. I'm gonna try and turn this into a series where I review retro consoles, but if you can't guess already and have lost half your brain, I'm gonna be reviewing one of my favorite consoles of all time, which is the Sega Mega Drive. This is just gonna be a very basic review, it's not gonna be very long or very in detail or anything like that. I plan to do reviews of Mega Drive games in the future, but I'm just gonna start off with this here review of the console because I really do like this console. I like a lot of the games on it. I like a lot of things about it. I'm just gonna explain why I like this so much in the review. So without further ado, I'm just gonna get started with it. We're gonna first start with the console. So this, as you can see, is the Mega Drive Mark II. Now there is obviously a Mega Drive Mark I. This is obviously the budget version of the Mega Drive, so it's a lot cheaper. You can still find it for a pretty good price online, I think. There's not really a lot to say about it. You have your flap here to keep dust off the circuit boards. You have the reset button and the power button. 2 slots on the front. I think you can get multi-taps to add more controllers, but I've never seen a multi-tap. And here on the back, you have where your power source goes in and where your AV output goes, or your RF. You can get different cables for it. AV is probably the best I would recommend because you get the best video quality and the best sound quality. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to say about this. You could get a Mega Drive Mark I and there's more stuff on that, but this is obviously, as I said before, a lot cheaper. So here we have the Mega Drive controller, which was a pretty revolutionary controller for the time. And not just for its 3 face buttons as you see here, when at the time most consoles only had 2, which were A and B. The Mega Drive, other than that, is pretty standard, aside from its ergonomics, which were pretty revolutionary at the time, because they fit more comfortably into your hand and were designed better to fit. You wrap your fingers around the ends here, while your index fingers rest on the shoulders, and your thumbs go for the buttons. Other than that, there's a start button, a D-pad, and not really much else. So this was a pretty good controller. So here we have the Mega Drive game cartridge. There's not really a lot to say about it. Quite small. Fits on shelves really easily. You have the end label here. Which is pretty standard for consoles. But as you can see, you can identify them based on the end labels. So I want to talk about the games, and specifically I want to talk about the games when you look at the advertising campaigns of the Mega Drive, which was pushing forward 16-bit power and blast processing power, which were both about graphics. With this in mind, you might think that maybe Sega forgot about the gameplay entirely and was focusing on graphics this time around. Well, you would be wrong, I'm pleased to say, if you thought this, as the Mega Drive has an excellent library of games in terms of quality games, and not only that, has a strong point when it comes to diversity in their games. There are at least 3 or 4 games in every single genre on the Mega Drive that fans of the genre will enjoy and play frequently once they start playing. Not to say that the 16-bit graphics take a backseat to the gameplay either, as even though the Mega Drive was weaker than most consoles that were in competition with it, you wouldn't notice, as many games take on a unique art style differing on every single game that makes it very appealing to look at, even to this day. The blast processing power also shines through to provide you with fast scrolling and high-paced gameplay, which benefits the games greatly. There are many iconic games on the Mega Drive, including Echo the Dolphin, which was unique in the gaming industry even to this day. I've yet to see anything like it. You also have graphical powerhouses like Vectorman, which showcase the true potential of the Mega Drive graphically, with 3D models and animation. Here you have Streets of Rage, which was an arcade beat-em-up published by Sega themselves, and Gunstar Heroes by Treasure Video Games, which showcased the third-party support that the Mega Drive had. Not only were these games impressive to look at, they were also incredibly fun to play. which was the most important thing when it comes to any video game console. You also had puzzle games like Columns, which were extremely simple, but also extremely fun to play. And that's why I recommend the Mega Drive so much. So overall, my opinion on the Mega Drive is easily one of the best consoles of all time. You know, I mean, just the innovation that it introduced. There are a lot of things that we wouldn't have today without the Mega Drive, or at least the Mega Drive introduced them first, such as wireless controllers and connecting your games console to the internet. All were introduced by the Mega Drive. But more so than that, more so than its innovation or its graphics, I like the marketing campaigns. The marketing campaigns definitely stuck with me, and anyone who sees the ads will know what I'm talking about. And even more so than that, the most important thing about it is the games. Are they good? Yes, they are. They are definitely worth buying a Mega Drive. Even if you're not into retro games, you can still like download an emulator on your PC or something, you know, just to play these games. Because let me tell you, it really is worth it. You know, even stacked up to today's consoles and all the disadvantages it has in terms of hardware, it still makes up for whatever it lacks in terms of software. And that's why I love the Sega Mega Drive. I've been the man with a plan, and I'll see you next time.